It's on, I think. Yeah? Shall we go ahead?
Mic check.
Hi, welcome to Multiplica Talks, the first evening. To my right is Steve Gerges, the creator of Rise of the Machines, the installation that's behind us. Then there's Maurizio Fusillo, the author of Overflow, an installation over there. And we have François Schwamborn, the author of Feedback, which you can see over the counter. Good evening.
Good evening.
Maybe to get an idea of who you are and what brought you here, you could maybe give us a brief insight in your artistic or professional background first.
So I've been studying at the School of Arts in Saarbrücken in Germany. And I started with painting. At some point I went back to animation. And since animation I was interested in real-time animation. And that's how I came to the point I started to work with creative coding software. Yeah.
Have you done much work in this domain before this?
Well, since actually my diploma, I did my diploma in 2014, and in 2014 I did interactive mapping in a basement where I placed 3 jazz musicians, and that was my first interactive work with the program called VVVV, and yeah, that was the first work. And since then I'm working a lot with this because yeah, I got very interested by it, and it opens a lot of doors to know how to program a little bit and to know how to use the resources of a computer.
Maurizio?
Hi, I'm Maurizio. I studied as a developer, and after that I studied arts. So, I mean, the electronic art is a natural outcome of these strange studies that I did. Well, I work mostly with the computer capacity of creating art, so computers which create art by themselves. And also, one of my main topics is investigating how the man interact with the machine. So this is the topic of this installation also, and that's it.
So the installation itself, maybe you can just explain in a few words what's it about?
Well, Overflow is about the visualization of the quantity of information that we have in the modern world. Like if you think about the medieval times, for example, information was something precious, and there was a huge effort to preserve the information, copying it manually and so on. While now, for example, you can write a tweet on Twitter, the tweet will stay there forever, basically. And we produce so much information that we are not able to consume this information anymore. So basically, all the information nowadays is pointless, because there is no filter in the information. It's just a huge fall of data.
Yeah, maybe you can also explain how it looks, the installation, because it's...
right, we are on radio, right?
It has a certain aesthetics.
Well, yeah, this one works with some thermal printers. It's the same kind of printers that we use for tickets in supermarkets. And I kind of like this kind of printers because they are extremely weird. They make an extremely nice sound when they print, and it's almost magic because they have no ink inside, and everything happens on the paper itself. So I always been fascinated with this kind of printers. And yeah, thanks to the Rotons, this is a big setup of this work, which was already exposed a few years ago in Vilnius. But this is a bigger setup, and we use some industrial shelves to set everything up. So it's pretty cool, and people should check it out.
It's going to be printing on paper for 2 months, is that right?
Yeah.
So how many meters of paper are you going to waste for this?
Well, I have no idea actually, because we didn't measure it. We are waiting for the first 2 weeks, see how many paper we use, and make another order of paper rolls. But Rotonde is paying for this, so.
Okay. Have some drinks if you want. They need money. Steve, what's your background?
Yeah, I'm actually a motion designer. I worked as a VJ, not professionally, but worked as a VJ for a long time. And I've always been interested in mixing visuals with music and technology and stuff like that. And yeah, that's how I came to doing artsy stuff. let's call it like that.
What is your installation about? It's called Rise of the Machines.
The installation is actually kinetic light sculpture. It's choreographed lights with sound, and the theme of it is actually it's robots that are gaining consciousness through artificial intelligence. They awake and they try to break free from the main computer that is controlling them. So it's actually a thought about everything what's going on nowadays with deep learning technologies, artificial intelligence, how that will affect us. And the outcome, even in my installation, the outcome is still an open end because we don't know where it goes. It can go pretty good, but it also can go pretty badly. So.
You very often work with video. This is just lights.
This is just lights. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a thing I'm wanted to do for a long time. I've seen a lot of inspiration online, like everybody nowadays, where I saw a light installation with it's stupid, simple moving heads like have in a concert or discotheque or whatever. And I really liked the look of it. And at one point it was like I saw them on these stands, the trusses, and the head going around and was like, okay, that looks kind of like a robot with one eye. And the idea actually came from there. It was like, it reminded me of a robot. Even the movements are like very robotic. And the idea actually came from there. It's like, yeah, that might be a good thing to work with those actually and to treat them as robots. Would be nice to have actual robots there, but I think we don't have the budget for that.
Maybe next year.
Maybe
if we
next
don't
year.
waste too much paper on your work.
Depends on his paper now.
François, maybe you can also give us just a small insight on your installation. What's it about? How does it look like? Just describe it in a few words.
So my installation is a projection with 3 projectors, and it's actually a mirror of what's happening on the bar. On the bar we have buttons, and with the buttons you can interact with the projection. The projection itself is actually some way of my personal interpretation of a Turing pattern. It's a pattern you see very often in nature, which is actually how different parts or different how do you say, particles like react with each other. It's also called reaction diffusion. So it looks very organic, and the thing is that what interests me in this work is actually something that comes from a computer, and what should look like I don't know, triangles and cubes and stuff like that, but it looks very organic, it looks natural. And this is, for me, is very fascinating. And that's why also I work with buttons which you have to touch and not with sensors that is like ubiquitous.
And it has been done before by him here with the sensors.
Oh, you did the thing with the sensors. Cool.
One of the aims of this festival is actually to find one or several answers to the question, what is digital art? So maybe let me put it this way. Would you consider yourself a digital artist?
Well, when I hear the word artist, I am very careful because I think I wouldn't say I'm an artist. I prefer when other people say I'm an artist. And I'm also, I don't know, like many things are art, and like many things are design. You can go to go get a haircut, and you go to a hair designer. And with arts, it's I think it's a word that has been very pushed to every borders of its meaning, which is the essence of art, actually. So I don't know. I would say I'm someone who does stuff.
But digital stuff.
Digital stuff.
What about you, Maurizio? As your background is really programming, you're a developer. Would you consider, when you make art, would you consider yourself as a digital artist?
Well, I bring over a fight since many years, like the digital artist should be the computer and not the human. Because, I mean, the human is the human artist, and only the computer can be the real digital artist. I had some works in this direction, like when the computer creates art by itself, then I will define that digital art. All the other stuff is just humans doing art with a computer. So.
But the computer is actually quite a stupid machine, so you have to put in an algorithm first for it to create something.
Well, it depends. I mean, as you say, the computers are going forward and forward, so it will not pass so many years since we will have computers creating art by themselves. And since then, we can't use the word digital art.
Would you consider an algorithm as art?
Why not? I mean, after Duchamp, everything is possible. Like, if we consider a toilet art, so everything is possible.
But you write programs that then do something by themselves.
Yeah.
Well, so your work it's not a piece of art, but the outcome is.
As I see it, yes, because it's like when you have a child. I mean, if your child is an artist, you are not an artist. It's your child that is an artist. You are just the father. And yeah, so I am the father of my software, let's say like that.
Okay, that's nice. What about you, Steve? Would you consider yourself a digital artist? Or an artist at all, maybe to start with?
Yeah, I actually don't know. I'm having the same thoughts that he has. Saying for myself I'm an artist is just like I don't know. I wouldn't say that actually. I think it is right in the end because my job is my daytime job is doing images and animations on sound for clients. So it's but there's still how do you say it in English? In command, it's something that someone ordered and pay for, but in the end, commission. But in the end, it still boils down to, yeah, I have to create something new and fresh and visually good looking, etc. So that's actually my day-to-day job. And there's things like this or the other installation I made. I think it's already 2 years ago here. That I would actually call art because that's my playground. It's not doing corporate films for banks or whatsoever, and that's actually the playground. So yes, I would call that art now. To call yourself an artist is always I don't know. It's always a tricky thing.
And the digital component, how important is it to you? Is it just because it's easier maybe to draw or to animate with computers, or is it because you like it as a...
It's not easier at all. It's much more complicated. No, it's actually easier. You take a pen and a paper and you draw something. That's even my 5-8-year-old daughter can do that.
And animate it as well.
And that will come. that is there. but but no, I think it's actually much more complicated. I see the interactive installation alarm that I did here on the screens 2 years ago. The first version that I did at the Carré Rotonde took me actually 2 years from the idea to the final realization, because I had this crazy idea that to use infrared cameras to track people's movement to produce visuals. At first I couldn't find the right cameras. When I got the cameras, I couldn't find a developer. Then in the end, when I had a developer and the cameras, it went pretty fast. But from the starting point to the end, it took me 2 years. Because it was very complicated. I wanted something that was reliable and could work in an environment and not crash every 5 minutes and everything. And then behind that, you still have the artistic thing that it should look like this, not the circle should be round and red, not edgy or whatever. You know, there's still this. But it takes, for me, I think it takes a lot of time, and it's at some points, I'm not a developer, for example. I can't code. I tried several times. I failed miserably. I think in images, and I know, or in animations, and I know, okay, I want that on the screen. So for me, those things get complicated when I don't have a developer, for example, you know. For you, it's probably the other way around. You know to write the software. But in the end, I think...
It's actually weird because computers and machines were designed to make life easier and to fulfill certain tasks faster. And when you use it not in the way it's meant to be used, it's
getting out of hand.
It's so difficult.
Yeah,
isn't
it's exactly that. But that's the fun thing about it. It's like I always did, even in school, experimenting with Photoshop or Illustrator, the basic graphics programs. I always tried to get something out of the software that was not meant to be. And that still goes on in my work now. It's always trying to use stuff for another purpose. And as you said, then it gets complicated because it's not meant for that, and then you hit walls. It's like, that doesn't work, or that's not the right tool, or I need another hardware or whatever. So, yeah.
Is that also your approach, to go beyond the borders of what the software or the hardware is meant for?
Well, that's a good question. I think when I started to work with computers to produce images, it was with the purpose that I could go beyond what I could do just by drawing by hands. As I said before, I come from drawing. I was painting a lot and drawing. My first animation was with pencils, and I did 600 drawings with pencils, and it took me 3 months to do it. Now I write a program, it takes me 10 minutes and it makes 6,000 drawings in a second. So that's a difference. But there is still, you see that a machine did it. And for me it's very important to, what I try to do is just to try to don't make it look like it has been done by a machine. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes.
Your work is interactive. Is the outcome always different depending on how people play with it or work with it or interact with it, or are there limits to it, to the outcome?
With this particular program, there are limits, but I didn't really get those limits. I use this program also with musicians, and I always play with it. And every time I play with it, there's a different image coming out. When I install it at home with those buttons, it looked totally different from what it looks here, which is amazing. and I'm really happy with this program I wrote, because a friend of mine told me, he's also a programmer. He said, I told him that I'm using a recursive function, so it's a function that recalls itself and is in a loop all the time. And he said, "Oh, you opened Pandora's box because those are the best functions." And actually, this is it's a new field for me, and I'm playing with it, and I don't know the limits, to be honest.
What about your installation, Steve? Rise of the Machine, is it always the same? Is it automated and scripted, or is there any human interaction?
No, it's scripted. It's scripted.
So the experience is always the same for everybody?
I actually wrote it like a story for theater play or film. I have a start and an end, and the whole light programmation was done according to the music, also sound design. It's not really music. And no, it runs for 10 minutes. Probably with the get in from the people and the get out, it's going to be a 20-minute experience. But it runs for 10 minutes. It's always the same.
And you can also watch it from here.
You can,
or will it be closed?
You can watch it from here, but it's better inside.
And you can move around inside.
You can move around. We limited the capacity to 50 people because I didn't want it to be too crowded. Because of the light, I didn't want to have too many people in front of the light beams cutting them off, etc. So, and I was actually used because we did the whole programmation on a computer, so we saw it from, I will not say on top, but mostly. So I'm always watching it from outside. And yesterday, or the last day when we tested, it was the first time I was inside, so it's a completely different experience. And yeah, if people come and watch it, I would suggest go around, go inside, get back outside, try to move around, just not stay in the same spot because it's like very different from different positions.
We've talked earlier about your own limitations. You're not a developer, you can't code.
Shame on me.
When you make stuff, when you work on a project, do you need other people to help you for you to arrive at the end?
Yes.
To succeed in your project?
Actually, all the projects I made, I wrote the concepts and I made the art direction, and for the rest I got people to the hardware here for LAN was sponsored by a company in Luxembourg. They also had the developers that I said, okay, I want this function and I want that, and it should look like this, and this should do this and that, and here for this installation was actually the same. I had Nina, light technician, that works at the same facility, office space where I work, and I went up to her and I said, okay, I want to do this. I need you to program the lights, and as I have the story that I want to tell, I said, okay, the lights need to do this, and they should look like that, and they move like this, and I have that color, and then they do this and that, and then. So I actually.
So you're the director.
I'm the director.
It's really like a
a movie,
theater,
theater play or something. So I'm saying, okay, I want this and that, and then I have Max who made the music for me, and it was the same thing. I gave him the basic structure. We cut the whole thing in several scenes, so we actually would know, okay, we have the machines that boot up, and then they do their routine, and then they go into this mode and that mode, and I said, okay, I gave him a very vague idea of the type of sound I wanted to have, and then I let him work for several days, and I came back, and it was like, okay, it sounds like this, is that okay? And it was good, go on. And then I go back to Nina, look at the lights, and I go back to Max, look at the listen to the sound, and it was back and forth the whole time. And then they two also worked together to say, okay, we need that sound for this effect in the lights, etc. So yeah, it's more like a director role.
What about you, Maurizio? Do you prefer to work alone, or do you also sometimes need other people in order to succeed in your project?
Well, I mostly work on very small projects. Like for me, it's more the concept of the opera than the visual outcome. So usually there is not so much work which would need to involve so many people. But yeah, basically every time you do some coding, you are always on the shoulders of the giants. Like there is someone that created the language that you're using. So it's programming is a collaborative work, even if you are alone, basically. So you are always building something over something else that already exists. So in this way, every one of us is part of.
But you are rather the guy who will be called by somebody like Steve if he needs a coder.
Yeah, well.
What about you, Francois? I myself am a musician, and at some point I also started to play around with Max MSP, with this similar to the platform you are using. But I realized quite quickly that this wasn't meant for me. That I would end up making no music at all if I would design musical instruments, software instruments. So I just decided it would be better for me to go and buy a nice synthesizer and use it and make music with it. What is your approach? Do you sometimes go to the shop and buy something just to succeed, or do you rather try to make everything your own?
Well, I in the beginning I started to work by just like going in the shop and buy stuff. I worked with Photoshop, After Effects. I worked with a VJ program called Resolume, where you can mix videos together in real time also. But pretty fast I saw the limits of these programs. Maybe not from After Effects or 3ds Max, for example, when I work with 3D stuff, but in Resolume I saw very fast the limits. So I wanted to go further, and my first ambition was to build an equalizer, basically. And I built it, and with VVVV I had very fast the possibility of making my own equalizers and making huge equalizers with installation, and like combine it with mappings and stuff like this. And what's interesting when you design your own tool from scratch is that you have no limits, actually. Sky is the limit.
Or yourself are your limits.
Or yourself are your limit, and yeah, maybe, yes. Yeah.
There's one subject that seems to appear in all of your works. It's the relationship between man and machines, or man and his creation in a certain way. What is the reason why you approach this subject? Maybe you a bit less, but also the interaction between man and machine?
Well, I think it's a very important topic, and it's also, I think, one of the basic fears of every human, to just, artificial intelligence take over the world, and yeah, the rise of the machines, like the Terminator scenario, like, I don't know. And
so are you afraid of machines, of artificial intelligence?
Well, somehow, yes. Not now. When I see like the robots, you see, like you can just push them and they fall down, and it's okay. But maybe in 10 years, I don't know.
What about you? Yeah, the developer. He's probably, he knows most about this stuff.
Well, they know that I'm their friend, so they will not kill me anyhow. And no, well, apart the jokes, I came from that generation which grew up with the machine. So I had my first computer when I was 8, and before that I had the Atari and the Nintendo. So basically I grew up with the machine, so I'm not afraid at all of I know the limit of the machine, I know since where it can go. And I'm pretty sure that when the machine will become self-conscious, it will just not consider us at all. Like, they will not have any kind of feeling anyhow. So that's the power of being a machine, like you don't have any feeling. And
The machine's just a way.
Whoa. Are you really sure about
The
this?
machine's already answering.
So
Yeah.
they won't consider us as enemies.
Not really. They will consider us a tool, I guess, because you can't really hack the machine, and so why should they act against us? Like, if they will ever develop an intelligence by themselves, they will be just like Spock in Star Trek. Like,
What do you think? Even Stephen Hawking warned humanity from artificial intelligence.
Recently, there was one thing. There are apparently two machines at Google, deep learning machines that develop their own language, and they are talking to each other, and nobody knows what they're talking about. Even the developer don't know because they develop their own language. So we have now at this time two computers, probably supercomputers. I don't know how fast they are, but two computers that are talking to each other. And we don't know about what. Not saying it's a bad thing, just saying.
Maybe they're flirting.
Maybe they're flirting.
Let's hope they're flirting.
Maybe they're plotting about world domination. You don't know that. No, but it's actually a pretty interesting theme. The whole artificial intelligence. We have them in our pocket, in our phones every day. There's like a lot of artificial intelligence even in our phones today. And there's still a lot to be done in that direction. We're still baby shoes with those stuff. Look at Tesla with the cars, for example, stuff like that. So it's pretty interesting, but as I said before, it can go in both directions, and we actually don't know what's happening here in my installation. They're not attacking humans; they're attacking another computer. Because it's, for me, it's actually what we humans do. We have intelligence, we attack another human. They are robots, they get intelligence, they attack another robot or another computer. So it might go that way, I don't know. It might go another way. I hope it doesn't go that way.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for the talk. We've talked for half an hour, so that's it. There's Yves of Rotonde who will just tell us what to expect this evening, because the festival just started, and I think at 7 there's the first show, or how we call it, show, performance.
Yes, I guess you won't see me because I'm out of the image, but we'll just give you, well, thank you, all of you, for this wonderful talk. Just a quick overview what we have tonight. So it's the opening night of Multiplica. In half an hour we have the first, the premiere of Rise of the Machines. So the installation that you see behind you guys. We have the installation Radkai Zoo, which is open since 30 minutes. So it's a sculpture that is growing with everyone you coming in and putting info on the sculpture. We have Maurizio's installation Overflow, François' feedback here in the club. And at 8 o'clock we have the first session of Swissdal, where there are still some tickets left. So for those who want to come, spontaneously come by. And then we have a second show of Rise of the Machines at 9:30. And then, yeah, that's it.
Is it sold out as well? The first one is sold out, I think.
The first one is sold out. The ticket office told me that there's a few places left for 9:30. So for those who want to come, please come.
They are getting pretty expensive.
It's free.
Okay, thank you. Bye. See you tomorrow. Same place, same time.